Looking at my reflection right now. You're doing great. You're doing great, bro. I got you. Killing it. I'm very excited for this one because I'm talking to you about why I think you should spend more time talking to you. So let's get right into it. What are you saying today, YouTube? My name's Josh, and long story short, I recommend that you spend more time talking to yourself. That's it, bro. Video over. Class dismissed. Good work, man. I'm proud of both of us. But long story short, no. Long story long, I recommend that you spend more time talking to yourself, and here's why. Talking to yourself is a lot like freestyle journaling. You don't get to like look back at anything later when you're like 90, but it still gives you that kind of like narrative with yourself. It gives you an idea of kind of like what rattles around your own dome. Because if you just keep it in your own head, and I cannot stress this enough, it is very important that you do this verbally, because when it is in your head, it just spirals, or you get anxious, or you get sidetracked, or whatever, and your mouth cannot move as fast as your thought. Write that one down. This is the one case where a part of your body underperforming is ideal, but also for the people out there that won't take my word for it, there's been studies and all that if you talk to yourself, that is a sign of intelligence, and you can Google that yourself. Take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, a brick of salt. We are sitting in a house of salt right now when I'm talking, and you're just nodding saying, yep, Josh, I see where you're coming from, kind of, and it's awesome and it's great. I've never done any like diagnostic tests on this. If you hooked me up to a machine, a toaster, and you put bread in and click the button while I was hooked up to it, my brain, it would pop out a raw egg and milk and flour probably. And that is the end of that joke. Again, this is only my own experience. It's great because the more I started journaling and the more I started talking to myself, the nicer I realized I would speak to myself, if that makes sense. And it's awesome, it's great. You wanna have a good relationship with yourself because you are all you have a lot of the time. And I'm gonna talk about that later on in the video at the very end probably. So another thing that's really lovely about this verbal freestyle journaling is it's really fun. And that smoothly brings us to our next topic, which is, it helps you find the fun in everything you do. There is fun in everything. So even if you're just like making coffee and you're like, this is the amount of grounds I like to use, this is how I like to pour my water, which I guess is different from how other people pour their water, whatever, like you're narrating it. It's sometimes fun to feel like you're getting interviewed. You know what I mean? And like me and my friends used to be like, oh, we need a YouTube channel, like a reality show, because we're so funny. And you know what? Probably not. Like probably definitely not. Because apparently the world needs to see a bunch of guys talk about Drake and Richmond Hill. I guess that was our thought process. Again, to go to the main topic of that, it's fun to feel like you're being interviewed because you also get to talk about the things that are important to you. And what's more fun than talking about things you're passionate about and the things you love? That's a very important thing. Aside from the coffee example, I would do that at home when I would like sit and sing my songs. I would like talk about what I wrote them about, what my favorite part was, what point in my life I was at, because nobody asks those things because it's not really their job to care, it's yours. And when you get to sit there and narrate it and talk to yourself about it, you start to realize how much the things that mean a lot to you actually mean to you. I sit and talk to myself about my YouTube channel constantly, or I talk to myself about my music, a lot of counting on my fingers today, it's all good, that's brand consistency. I get to have that narrative because for a long time, I needed that validation from others of people caring about what I was doing, and that is truly madness. And through a lot of love and support from others and myself, I have figured that out, because even though I love the things my friends do, I'm not going to sit and interview them on them the same way they're not going to interview me. But if I love talking about it and no one's gonna like ask in the depth that I want to talk about it, that's on me to ask myself, and that's on you to ask yourself. I'm not just roasting myself here. This is about you. You can do it in your kitchen, shower, other parts of your house, outside of your house, which I'll get to later. But all this fun you have in the present moment keeps you in the present moment, which brings me to our next topic, which is it keeps you present. So I'm gonna quote some literature, just a flex real quick. Smart. This is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or Eckhart Tolle. I don't know which. I just called myself smart, and I don't even know how to pronounce the author's name. And this is not sponsored by him, as I've noticed. I'm gonna summarize the parts of the book that I got the valuable information that I am quoting right now, and I'm gonna summarize it in layman's terms, which is essentially the present moment is all that exists, and it's all you really have. There's no tomorrow, because by the time you get to tomorrow, it's the present moment again, and the past ceases to exist once it has left the present moment. If you want inner peace, it can be found in the present moment and pretty much nowhere else. And thus concludes a summary of the points I'm gonna be talking about. Now, I'm not gonna be talking too much about this because I could do a whole other video on this, and I don't really wanna stray away from the original topic of talking to yourself. As you can see, I'm already doing. It's great to dream forwards. It's great to like look ahead, but you can't get trapped in the future. You kinda gotta like sit there, talk about it, and be like, oh, one day. That's gonna be really cool, but the way I'm gonna get there is by this now, whatever I'm doing. And I think that's the healthiest way to do it, because I was the type of person who got so caught up in daydreams that by the time I actually got there, I felt like I wasted the time dreaming about getting to that point. For example, when you're 12, you can't wait till you're older, and then you get older and you see all those tweets where you're like, I miss being a kid. It's always gonna be like that if you're living in other periods of your life. So when you sit and narrate exactly what you're doing to yourself and you talk to yourself, you can find that inner peace by staying present in the moment, because you're talking about what's in your hands. You can't talk about what you're doing while thinking about other things if you're like fully invested. You know what I mean? And I want to throw it out there that I'm just generalizing these things to kind of just like have extra little parts of the point I'm trying to make. I'm not trying to skate over anything or like invalidate anyone's feelings and be like, oh, you're anxious because you're worried about the future. You're depressed because you're caught up about something. Like, that's not at all what I'm trying to do. Don't find the negative in the positivity I'm trying to spread here. I'm just talking. That's essentially it. I'm not a doctor. If I was a doctor, this world would be worse for wear. I will tell you that for free. You know, you come to me with a broken leg, I'll be like, the other one's good. Glass half full. All good, you know? So yeah, staying present helps you find the fun in the moment, inner peace and all that. It's great. And it all comes from you narrating the things you love to yourself. They don't even have to be things you love. You could just be doing the most mundane thing, but try to find the fun in it. Pretend you're on like a little talk show or like an interview, as I've said before in the video, and you might have this concern, which is you have a bunch of siblings, paper thin walls, and you get no privacy, whatever it may be. Got good news for you. Nature always provides us with everything we need and nothing less, which is why I'll be talking about God's greatest creation, which is headphones. You pop in a couple headphones, that is your get out of asylum free card. You're golden. You can go and talk to yourself in a grocery store, you can talk to yourself on your front lawn, you can talk to yourself at Home Depot, you can talk to yourself in an alleyway. It doesn't matter. People see those headphones in and you're good, man. They just think that you're really passionately explaining something to somebody. I remember seeing a tweet a long time ago where it was like, if you saw somebody yelling about the stock market on the street, you'd be like, man, that guy is off his rocker. But if they have like headphones in, then you just think that they're like a source for economic advice. You go on a walk, you treat it like a vlog. I'm gonna wrap it up with this one last little bonus point is, especially with the headphones on a walk, whatever thing, it makes being alone a lot less daunting when you're good at talking to yourself. Now, I could do a whole other video on being alone and why it's fantastic, and that's not to say that I don't value the relationships in my life. It's actually quite the opposite. This is something that I've kind of been forced to grow into with kind of just like geographic location of me and a lot of the people I love. So I don't have much of a choice, or I didn't have much of a choice. Now I do have more of a choice, and I still choose to be alone most of the time. And that's because, as I said before, it helps your relationships when you're good at being alone. Because if you spend time with your friends every single day, when one of them doesn't show up, it doesn't really matter that much to you because you know you're gonna see them again. Whereas if you spend most of your time alone, then you really look forward to seeing the people that you want to spend your time with. You know what I mean? I only mean it as a good thing. I only mean any of these things as good things. So hopefully it's how you take it. But yeah, also you get to have a better understanding of the person you spend the most amount of time with, which is yourself. There's nothing more precious and valuable than that. And you get that by speaking to yourself. And like I said before about like things going off in your head, I was somebody who couldn't be alone for a very long time because my thoughts would get out of control. I'd be very obsessive. I would spiral. It was awful. And essentially when I would just think about things, that's when that would happen. But when I would speak outwardly to myself, if I spoke in a very, rude tone, I would realize how like kind of cold I was being to myself and how much love I wasn't showing myself. You don't catch that in your head. When I started talking to myself out loud, I found that I was so much nicer to myself. I was so much more patient with myself. Like, it's all good stuff that comes out of this. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. If you liked the video, then like the video, man. And I'll see you next time. Go talk to yourself.